Let's talk about, this is going to be a segue to talking about running down a dream and all things involved with that. Maybe we could start with an anecdote from a fellow Austinite. Likes to play the bongos, long hair, associated with smoking reefer every once in a while. Matthew, we were talking about a short anecdote about Matthew before we started recording. Would you mind sharing that?
Because I was kind of wrapping up the book, I started listening to Green Lights. And I was told you had to listen to it because, of course, he reads it. So you get all the great McConaughey affections as you read it. But there's a story in it that just popped in my brain and kind of summarized exactly what I'm trying to accomplish with this book, Running Down a Dream. And he had spent the vast majority of his young adult life. So this anecdote's from when he was like 20, 21, telling his family he was going to be a lawyer. And so he'd gotten into the University of Texas. He was pre-law. Every time he went home, he talked about, I'm going to be a lawyer. And he had met some people at Texas that had convinced him that he should switch to film school. And he had immense anxiety about sharing this with his father. His father, this is all in the book, but his father's a very tough individual. And so reason to be fearful, when you're going to drop some news. No longer going to be a lawyer. I'm going to go to film school. And he builds it up a lot in the book. Like, I didn't know when I was going to talk to him. Like, you can imagine being in that situation. You're delaying. But he finally tells his dad, and his dad utters this very simple phrase, well, don't half-ass it. And he says, of all the reactions he could have had, don't half-ass it were the last words I expected to hear and the best words he could have ever said to me. And he said in that single moment, he gave him blessing, consent, approval, validation, privilege, honor, freedom, and responsibility. He called it rocket fuel. And I'd like to believe there are a number of people out there, young adults, maybe even some midlife career, who have this notion that they should be doing something else, but society has put them on a path, or just the way they matriculated through college put them into a career that they just don't love, and that they have this inkling that they could go do this thing. Or maybe you're a young kid and you really want to do X, but everybody else is telling you to do A, B, and C. Like, I want to help them have the confidence and permission to go do X, to go chase this dream. And as you hinted at from our last call, I think the amount of your ability to make connections and to gather information and learn on your own pace has never been better. You can literally just sit there and talk to ChatGPT 6 hours a day if you so choose, and learn so much about any particular field. And so, like, your ability to take things into your own hands and to go try and be successful in this thing that you feel passionate about, I think has never been better.
Why do you think when you initially gave and subsequently had to go online, Run Down a Dream as a presentation, why do you think that took? Why did it strike a chord in the way that it did? What do you think it was?
I think we built a society, like, nobody's fault. Like, we just have built a society where we love to celebrate people that are successful in a lot of different fields. But when it comes to our own children, we tend to think way more pragmatically about what they should be doing. Lawyers, consultants, doctors, computer scientists, like, it's all these jobs that have certainty to the financial component. And I think that's, like, so well intended. Like, I don't think there's malintent of anyone in the system. And I'm a parent of 3, like, I've been through this. You just feel this obligation to try and push them towards prosperity, but it's not intellectual prosperity. It's not happiness. It's financial
Stability.
Like, yes, that most people are guiding children towards. This isn't that complicated math, but most people end up working 80,000 hours in their life. It's a third of your life. Why do something you don't like? There's Gallup poll data on career engagement, and 59% of people say they're not engaged at work. And this is that whole quiet quitting thing that we hear so much about. And some of these numbers are at an all-time low. It just seems horrific that people are kind of sauntering through life.
What are some of the keys to taking the path less traveled then, in this case, right? There are a few I highlighted for myself, but where should we start? I highlighted one for myself. We don't have to start here, but go where the action is. I just think this is so underrated. And people further undervalue it maybe in a digital world, but we can start anywhere you want. That's just one that really jumped out to me because I think it's really underrated. But where would you like to start?
In the book, one of the things that we tie together very early on is the interplay between passion or fascination or curiosity and learning. And the way to be most successful in any endeavor, but certainly if you're going to go tilt it something that's less pragmatic, is to be the smartest, most knowledgeable person you can possibly be. And knowledge is free now, as we've talked about. And I have this test for whether or not you're actually truly passionate about what you're trying to do, which is, do you self-learn on your own time? Mm-hmm. Like, would you not watch Breaking Bad and read about this field and be energized by that activity? Mm-hmm. If you are, and we have 20, 30 different stories in the book of people that have been successful, almost all of them check that box. Mm-hmm. You just have this amazing ability to gain knowledge so much faster than everyone else you would be competing with. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be useful. That's unquestionably going to be useful.
It makes me think of an interview I saw a long time ago, actually. It was quite a few years ago, but it was an interview with Joe Rogan. And he said something that surprised me. It might surprise a lot of people, which was along the lines of he's not good at, it was either willpower or discipline, which is, he's in great shape. Obviously, he's black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's done what he's done with the podcast. He's the undisputed king of podcasting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he said, I'm not actually good at whether it was discipline or willpower, but I am good at obsession. It's all on or all off. And I've seen that. I'm sure you've seen this in a lot of the entrepreneurs who actually make it to the other side and create these mega successes. They are just obsessed.
No
And
doubt.
that gives them a huge, not just knowledge advantage, but endurance advantage. You just go down the check boxes. It's all advantages.
I had the opportunity to talk to Angela Duckworth when I was working on this, and her book, Grit, talks about two components, passion and perseverance. And I heard a podcast she had done recently where she said if she could go back, mm-hmm. she would put far more weight on the passion than the perseverance, because she says we've taught our children to grind. Mm-hmm. And so once again, starting in sixth grade, they're told to learn the flute and take lacrosse and do all this stuff and crush the SATs and take the extra credit classes and all this, and they all do it. And then they go to college and, how are you doing? They take 6 hours of class instead of 4, and they're just going. But eventually, she says, if you don't have that passion, you just burn out. And so you're right about the energy part. I think it's both knowledge and you put in more cycles.
Yeah. It makes me think of, maybe this is cliched in Silicon Valley because it gets so oft repeated, but a lot of folks listening will not have heard it, which is if you're looking for the next sort of technological breakthrough or something on the edge, look for what the nerds are doing on the weekends, right? It's not just a great way to find what might be coming around the corner in a few years. It's a great way to find the people to bet on who are already using their free time to work on these things.
No doubt.
I think of Brie Pettis and 3D printing. I mean, I can just go down the list.
And by the way, that's another advantage of going to the epicenter is there's more people doing that all the time.